dramatic.
And like, just because people don't recognize what you provide, and actually it's more of an indicator of their inability than your value.
So, and he does it by, he kills people in the barber chair and then puts them down a chute, basically, and
Nice.
It's nice. It's a comedy. People were like getting drunk on the Lord. All this crazy stuff was happening. Miracles were breaking out, dude. It was so freaking cool. I was going through school at a different time, when they still taught critical thinking and all that stuff.
Imagine.
Right?
Like they saw this massive like tsunami or like tidal wave coming over, but it's coming from Eureka. Well, that's the beauty of it. It's supposed to hurt a little. It's a sacrifice. Like in the Old Testament, they would give the unspotted lamb, like the best of the flock. Whatever the top of your game is, like whatever you value the most, is like what you're supposed to give that to God.
Just like, no, right? God, it's great. It's perfectly imperfect. Oh, and that's always stuck with me.
How's it going, man?
It's going all right. Just a kind of chill day here. Ended up sleeping way past my alarm.
Oof.
Yeah, that's all good though.
Got anything? Well, you got a play today, right?
Yep, we start week 3 of 5 for Sweeney Todd today. It's been an absolute bear, but super
really?
fun. Yeah, pretty
so?
fun. It's just a really hard show.
Oh, really?
It's musically very challenging, and yeah, kind of a weird show for an ensemble because it's other ensemble shows. It's like you're kind of in all the time, and the show you're kind of in just these very specific pockets.
Okay,
but it's good. It's I love doing it, so happy to keep trucking ahead. And 3 weeks after, or maybe not 3 weeks, 5 weeks after that closes, I start rehearsals on another non-musical play, so that'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah. Which do you prefer, musical or non?
I like them both equally. Yeah, no preference.
Sure. So plays. How did you get into doing plays specifically?
I've always been a little dramatic. Not really. I'm actually one of the least dramatic drama people. Yeah, I'm like, that's what I like to say. I like to say I'm one of the least dramatic drama people that you'll ever meet. But
that's great.
No, I started as a kid and really got into it in middle school is when my first official one-act play was that I did. And then
nice.
Once I hit freshman year of high school and did my first musical, sort of, it's over. Could be doing this forever now. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, you have a stellar voice too for musicals, so that's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. I actually miss doing worship with you because I just always love hearing you worship. It's always incredible.
I miss it too, man.
So you went to, I thought I couldn't even, there's so many people that were homeschooled at BSSD, so I can't remember who was and wasn't. You went to, because I know you had like a military, or you traveled a lot or something like that, right?
Yeah, my dad was in the military for 20 years. He's in the Navy. So, I mean, as far as school goes, I had just about every kind of school experience you could have. Homeschooled when I was really, really little, and then Department of Defense schools, public school, Catholic school, Christian school. And then went
Catholic
to,
school, really?
Yeah, my last 2 years of high school, I was in Catholic school.
How was that?
It was, I mean, that particular move was a struggle at first. Because I
late in high school too.
Yeah, it was halfway through high school. So I had really kind of made a name for myself at my first high school with the drama stuff. And
for sure.
We were looking into can he stay with his guidance counselor? Because she went to our church and we were really close with her and her husband. But ultimately we decided, or my parents decided to move me up with them to New Jersey. And it was a rough entry. I really hated New Jersey when I first moved there. I grew to love it, but I really and I had also just learned how to drive. So driving between Virginia and New Jersey, the driving is very different.
I bet.
Yeah. But the Catholic school, because of where I was at academically, it was the better choice for me. like the public schools weren't doing like AP classes and all that stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, and ended up making some of the best friends that I'd had at the time. And yeah, no regrets now.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, Catholic school for sure. It's an
Nice.
experience.
I bet. Yeah. How does that? What's like some of the major differences between the schoolings that you had? Was it, I mean, academically, is it different, or is it just like a cultural?
That's a good question. I think, yeah, I mean, anytime you move and go to a different school, you're going to experience a different culture and different way of doing things. Um, some schools obviously cater to more intelligent versus less intelligent. And honestly, like that feels a little bit strange to say because I think that everyone has the capacity for intelligence. It's just how you're conditioned and how you're programmed that determines, whether you actually tap into that intelligence. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, like most of the schools that I was going to, because I was considered gifted as a kid, like my parents wanted to make sure that I was able to, continue to exercise those skills.
You said you were considered gifted as a kid. What did that entail for you?
I think I I don't know, like specifically, just
Was that
in
like something they just like teachers told you, or like your parents just recognized,
I
and
feel
what?
I think a little bit of both, and I also feel like my parents had me. I don't remember this, but I feel like they had me tested. Like I don't know if it was like IQ or what, but yeah, like I remember even from a very young age when we lived overseas, like being specifically in they called it the GATE program, which was gifted and talented education or something like that.
Cool, cool.
Um, yeah, I mean, me and my sisters were all in it. But I don't know. It's just kind of what I grew up with. So I wouldn't really know like
Any different?
any difference.
Yeah. Yes. Do you feel like? I mean, I know you literally just said you don't know any difference, but do you feel like it that knowledge, that understanding, like translated to how you went through life, or like how you approach things?
I think so. I'm naturally very curious. And so that definitely makes it more of a natural flow for me to like, go down a rabbit hole or something. Cause once something piques my interest, I'm like, oh, I need to know as much as possible about that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Same.
and I don't remember if like I was like that as a kid. I probably was to some degree. But yeah, I think that's just sort of what it's translated into as an adult.
Yeah. I just think it's fascinating, the like there's small nuances with like how you're raised and how you grow up, and like little things that you're told or taught can really dramatically impact like the long-term development, and like how you your confidence really changes how you walk through life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I was asking that question, because I think that's very interesting, because I was always told I was smart as a kid. um I skipped a grade, well, like kindergarten or something silly, because I
Hmm.
was homeschooled, so we could do that,
Yeah.
and my sisters all went through it, and I was like just watching them, and I figured it out, and I never had issues going forward. Like I was always, that was the set level for me, I guess. And I feel like it's allowed me, it kind of feels like pride in some sense, but like you kind of feel better than people. And I, like I say it with all humility, because I mean, especially now, in my 30s, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not, I know my
Hmm.
limitations, but at the same time, like I feel like it's really good for kids to be told that they're gifted, or like that they're very intelligent, and like
Hmm.
I think that's fascinating, like how that develops. I don't know. I love developmental things. I want to have
Yeah.
kids and all that, so
Yeah.
it's fun to learn about.
Well, and I think kids come into this world too with a lot more than people are giving them credit for.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's a
was it?
whole, yeah.
There's a study somebody did. I can give you the specifics, but essentially it was like every child under the age of 5 was considered a genius.
Hmm.
like they test as geniuses, and like
Yeah.
it's the progressive like the amount of geniuses shrank progressively as time went on, and as they went through the school systems,
Mm-hmm.
because the school does not teach you how to maintain that or like how to foster that. It actually teaches the opposite. It teaches you to be, rigid and for rote memorization, not creative thinking and critical
Mm-hmm.
thinking and stuff. That's also why I was interested in like since you have such a broad spectrum of like your schooling, I was wondering how that kind of like, you feel like if there was benefits or not for different modalities. Um,
Yeah. Again, I think it depends on the school where you're at, the teachers that you
right.
come into contact with.
Totally.
But also like, I think, I was going through school at a different time, when they still taught critical thinking and all that stuff. So,
Imagine.
right. And honestly, like I used to like, those would be the questions that I liked the least because
Right. They're
you
hard.
really have to like think about it,
Yeah.
rack your brain, like, man,
You have
what
to
would this
try.
person do in
Damn
this
it.
situation? Yeah.
Uh, yeah, because it stretches your brain. It really makes you,
Mm-hmm.
work the muscle. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I want to learn how to do that more often. Even.
Me too.
Um, cool, man. That's cool. That's a nice little touch in the background. So since you and I both have BSSD in common, can we talk about that for a little while?
Sure.
I'd be interested to know what your experiences were, the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows. So like if you could pick out like a peak and a valley, like
Mm.
either for you personally or like just about the school and like the experience in general, whichever, what would that be?
I mean, I think definitely for me, peak would be people that I met who I still have a relationship with. I mean, you're a prime example. Um, like, talking about high school, I referenced some of the best friends I had at the time. Well, like BSSD, I made some of my best friends who are still some of my best friends. Um, and that I think that's like a huge, that's probably the biggest thing for me. Cause I'm also like super relational as well. So,
Totally.
I think that's why that kind of would rank higher for me. Yeah, I think other peaks is funny. This is not really necessarily even related to the school, but like getting to do movement, being a part of that,
Yeah.
and seeing just so many people experience God through that, and having like a loose framework for how we wanted things to go, and then just like watching the Holy Spirit take over
Yeah.
and say, that was your framework, but we're gonna go here instead.
What exactly was, because I know kind of what movement was, but I wasn't a part of it, so I don't know the ins and outs. Can you give like a quick little
Yeah,
synopsis?
so the core of movement was to be sort of a young adult, like from end of high school to 30 somethings, just having a space to come together and encounter the Lord together. And it was started by Scott Thompson, and he had kind of a few people on the core worship team.
Right.
People,
So
yeah, go for it.
how did you facilitate what you just defined?
I think a big thing about it is the openness of everyone's hearts to just let God take us where He wanted to take us,
Hmm.
versus being like, okay, we're gonna do these 4 songs for 30 minutes, and then
The box,
Scott's gonna talk for 30 minutes about X thing,
for sure.
and yeah.
Yeah.
So like we had that as our framework, but Scott, being the type of leader that he is, was like, we have a framework, but if God's moving, we're not going to quench that. We're not going to stop that.
Yeah.
And so, man, even from the very first one, like Scott was supposed to talk, and we just worshiped the whole time, and it was like messy, and
Of
like
course.
people were like getting drunk on the Lord. All this crazy stuff was happening. Miracles were breaking out, dude. It was so freaking cool. I'm pretty sure we all, like the worship team, all ended up just like in a puddle because
Yeah.
there was this incredible weightiness there too, where like there was a
Mhm.
point where I was singing, I was like, I can't stand up anymore,
Oh
and so
man.
just like laying on the ground, just microphone in
Wow.
hand,
Yeah.
um,
Just
just
slayed.
just go, yeah, yeah, and we all ended up like that. Like I'm pretty
Glory.
sure like Timothy Hannis was
Wow.
on the ground, just like playing his guitar, like so
That's gold.
it
That's stupid.
was, yeah.
I love that.
This is like a marker moment for sure for me.
Mm.
It was just so beautiful and so messy and such a picture of what heart led worship can look like.
Yeah.
Not sterilized at all, just
Right.
raw and messy and beautiful.
Yeah. And like the big thing is it wasn't sterilized is a pretty good word for it, but also like it's not limited. Like it's allowed to be. And that some limitations are good
Hmm.
to a point, but like when it comes to the Holy Spirit, I feel like if you put it in a box, if you have a set expectation of like it's going to go like this, and we have to be done at this time, it like completely just stifles the move of the atmosphere. Like it just,
Yeah,
I'm like, why are we doing that? Like might as well
absolutely.
just not show up at all, at some point. But I mean, we have lives and we have schedules and we got to
Right.
get on with things sometimes. But it's that like setting aside a space where it's like whatever you want to do within this time, like as much as we have the capacity, like it's going to be done the way you want to do it. Like
Hmm.
how Jesus said, he's like, I only speak what I hear the Father speak and only do what I see him do. Like doing that in church is like the most important thing in my heart, like that I
Hmm.
see. Because we could, I mean, we can have like our fellowship times and we can do this and that and the other, but like it's all moot unless God shows up, like
Yeah, I
I
wish
feel like
more churches would do that.
bro. Uh, I'm dying to see that. I'm dying to see that. I just started getting involved in a group here. I started dating someone, and her name's Samantha. She's been part of a group through, kind of like pseudo through the church that we go to, my home church here, Grace. Uh, but she just met someone through there, and they kind of started doing like a Bible study with all these old ladies and her, and like not
Yes.
old ladies, like whatever, but older generations, and they kept it up, and then it started growing, and now they're like basically like a small church. Um,
Mm.
so it's been really cool to experience that, but that's kind of how they operate. Like they have like a set, like we're gonna do this, but it's especially because it's smaller and you're not like, you don't have this big production and all this stuff. Like
Hmm.
you're able to just move with the spirit. I don't know why I got on that, but I just thought it was really cool.
No,
So
that's
I'm
really
excited.
cool.
I'm excited to like see that, and actually I'd love to be a part of it in a sense, or like bring my gifts to the center of that, and like be able to bring in. Dude, I remember who was it? It was either Willie or Marty. They had a word about the new wave
Mm.
of like they saw this massive like tsunami or like tidal wave coming over, but it's coming from Eureka. It was coming from like BSSD.
Yeah, I think I
And
remember
I
that
feel like,
vaguely.
yeah, I feel like it stuck with me for some reason. And I was always like, what does that mean? What does that look like? Um, and I honestly feel it's like, because it was even like the way everything kind of fell apart at the end. I'm not sure how soon you left, but I was there like for like 3 or 4 years after. So I saw everything.
Yeah,
Like, Scott and Lacey left, Steve left, everything. Not that that's important, but
I left around the time that Scott and Lacey left.
yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing just kind of dissembled, but I feel like it was to a point. I mean, there's humans involved, but I feel like part of it was meant to be, because all of these different people were sent out back to their hometowns, back to their places.
Hmm.
And like, if the move there stayed as potent as it was, we wouldn't have left.
Right.
And it's like this essence that you're describing, like a movement and stuff. I feel like a lot of people captured that and have carried it back, or at least the desire to replicate that, they carried it back to places.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm excited to like be a part of like a small enough group, or a group that's hungry enough and willing to explore the Spirit in that sense, because I'm like, yes, I need it, like, because you go back
Right.
to regular church and you're like, yeah, this ain't it, bro. This ain't it, bro. I can't do this. I'll go in service and I'm like cringing the whole time, like, get me out of here. I can't be here,
Dude, I
man.
feel that.
It's so painful. And I'm like, Lord, work on my heart or something, or send me somewhere else, because
Yeah. No, dude, I've been
struggle.
on a long hiatus from the brick and mortar. It just,
Yeah,
yeah, it's, I don't know. I mean, also like for a while there, I was dealing with a little bit of church hurt, but just like
sure.
now I'm just like, I don't, I don't think that the American church looks like what Jesus intended.
Hard no. It's hard no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in the traditional sense, in the corporate
Hmm.
sense. I think there's
Right.
outliers like Eureka, so I don't like to generalize, but I'm there with you. I understand what you mean. Um, Interesting. So yeah, let's talk about, because I think a lot of people, especially in our generation, are dealing with church hurt right now. Would you be willing to tap into that a little bit? You don't have to get into super detail, but
Sure. Honestly, for me, it was a little bit more secondary church hurt, really, than direct church hurt. Um, so, yeah, so I ended up moving to Georgia with Scott and Lacey and a few other people like Alex and Riley and Michael and Sierra, Faith.
yeah,
So we all went out there to start a BSSD esque school out of a church called Resurgent in Atlanta, and um, we did that school for about 2 years, sort of more like a night school, and really, really saw a lot of our students have their lives just transformed. Like, they walked in day one, there's a certain way, and then, graduation day, they're like, it's like, I don't even recognize you from the first day. This is awesome. And
love that.
after about 2 years, just some things happened between the senior leaders and the leaders of the school, and just weird like financial things and people holding stuff back, and it just kind of collapsed,
Dang it.
more not under its own weight. I think more under like I want to be careful what I say, because I
People
do think
limitations.
people limitations. Yeah, that's a good way to
Right.
put it. That's a good way to put it. Um, and the school leaders ended up having somewhat of like a messy split from that, and just sort of watching the way
Dang.
that people were treated through that really just turned me off from the church. And I think I was also just kind of like, I was already feeling those things that I expressed, like, this maybe looks somewhat like what Jesus would have intended, but on the whole, on the larger scale, it's like,
Yeah.
this is not, people coming together house to house, breaking bread together. Yes, we're singing spiritual songs, but like,
Yeah.
it's not like the Acts 2 church that is described by the apostles.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't see no tongues of fire.
so yeah,
but more
right.
on the
Yeah, I haven't seen that
communal.
yet.
Yeah, right. Same. I mean, that'd be amazing.
That would be cool.
Greater things. These things and greater we're supposed
Yeah.
to see. So like, why are we not pursuing those things? But on top of that, it's more about the community. It's more about the relationships. Like, you're
Hmm.
viewed as a member and not a family. I mean,
Right.
those two can be synonymous, but like in the corporate sense, like a member is like a taxpayer. Like, like you're paying your tithe, and
Yeah.
they need you there to pay the bills, and it's like that's all they care about. Like, and that's
Yep.
such a huge
And
generalization. So like people can get offended
right.
about that if they want,
Yeah,
but
no, but that is some of the language that I heard. I'm just like,
it's gross. It's
that's really
super gross.
gross.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you're not living in faith for
Hmm.
provision. So, because if you're in the Spirit's plan for you, for what you're supposed to be doing. Like he provides. So you have to have that reliance. If you don't have that reliance, like you're going to F it up. Like you're going to come up with some other way and you're going to make a mess trying to make it on your own. And that's not how it works. But yeah, I mean, ultimately though, it's like, you're not dealing with text. You're dealing with human beings. Like you're dealing with people that understand intrinsically what connection feels like and what it doesn't feel like, and what authenticity feels like and what it doesn't feel like. And like, if you're not genuine and you're not authentic, then like you're going to attract unauthentic people, and it's just going to be a mess. Anyway, you know, all of this stuff.
And the thing with the tithe too is that the tithe, I think, is more a matter of the heart than really a matter of routine. So if you're opening your checkbook because you feel like you have to, not because you feel like you want to, then that's a problem too, bro. Like you should be, and also like I've sort of come to the thinking that the tithe doesn't have to always look like giving to the church. Like sometimes the Lord has told me, I want you to give your tithe to this person. Yeah. And it's on you to be are you going to be obedient and do that thing and give joyfully to that person, even if it, no matter how it feels.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it. It's supposed to hurt a little, like in a sense, like it's a sacrifice. Like in the Old Testament, they would give the unspotted lamb, like the best of the flock, like your prime, the tip of the top, like whatever the top of your game is, like whatever you value the most is like what you're supposed to give that to God. I'm like, that's intense. I mean, like for me, it was always my talents, like giving my time, like is a huge thing.
And I don't think people consider that part of it, but I think it's part of it.
Yeah, because
your time is your most valuable resource,
bro. I can't replace the time I've given, like, and I don't want to, like, but I mean, I gave like 15 years to the church, and I mean, there's a time where I was serving 3 to 4 times a week, like with practices and everything else, and that's just a lot. And I gave it joyfully, like it was part of God's plan for me and stuff. But it's like, we have to be able to see, and this goes back to the relational part, we have to be able to see that you can steward what I'm giving you. I even had this conversation with Sam recently, and it's something that God keeps bringing up, interestingly, not aggressively, but like he's kind of circling around it. And I think it's because it's something we need to talk about as people. But and you touched on it, it's not about paying the bills, quote unquote, or it's not about like making a quota. It's about the heart set. And like, for me, I've stopped trusting certain people and organizations with my talents, and then B, my money. Like, I'm like, I don't see you really stewarding this well. So like, why would I give to you? Just because I'm supposed to give into the storehouse? Like, what does that even mean? So I've been in like a process of reassessing that and like how I do it, and even when I was in Eureka, because I never felt like I was connected to the church there. It was like the school. And so I was still giving to my home church. But I mean, all of that stopped after, because I had some church hurt and stuff like that. And I was like, my heart's not in it. Like I can't give just because I'm supposed to, if I don't trust these people, and like yada, yada, So I'm kind of reassessing that now. And like, I'm like trying to figure out, like, I guess I'm not waiting, but I've been like praying for something that I can really invest in. I've been investing in myself and like my gifts and talents, because I am the church, and it's not like I'm going to buy myself all this cool stuff. It's like, no, I'm literally like buying equipment to do God's work, like music equipment and podcasting stuff, and like things that I feel like I'm called to do that require a lot of resources. Unfortunately, it's just expensive. The technology is expensive. Like services like the service I'm using right now, it costs money, and it's like my big frustration with it was like, they're like, oh, we gave to this church in Africa and we like supported this other place, and I'm sitting here like broke and like I need help, and it's like, where's my storehouse? Like I never pulled from the church. I remember one time they give like scholarships for ministry students, and I got like $1,000 or something. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. Like, wow, you really have blessed me. Like, I mean, I'm grateful for it. Like, but you know what I'm saying? It's like a pittance of like the amount that I've given to that church over the years. And it's like, what are we really doing even for the people that are a part of our church? And it's only like the squeaky wheels that get the grease. It's like people that are destitute. And it's like, I don't feel like that's even a fair trade of like what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense, you know? I don't know how even I would progress in that manner and like how to and fix that imbalance, but there's got to be a better way. There's got to be. Like the group that I'm part of, they have like regular sponsorships. Like, so they're very open with their finances, and they're like, we all give and trade in. This is how much we have, and then if you would like to pull from the pot, like just submit like an application, essentially be like, I want to do this ministerially, I need XYZ, and this is what I'm going to do with it, and this is how much it costs. And if they have the funds, they'll grant it. Like it's like, I mean, that's incredible. Like we don't have that in the church. It's like, no, the funds go to the senior leadership and they divvy it out, and that's it. Like I've never heard anybody doing that in a church before. I feel like that's a really good format. Like it's a good start.
At least not the modern church. I think that they were doing that in the early church.
Well, sure. And again, generalizations. This is just what I've seen.
No. I'm tracking with you for sure.
No, but that's a good point. That's definitely a good point. That's how they did it in the early church. It's like if anyone needed something, it was all pulled together. It's not the church's money. It's the body's money, and you're part of the body, so you get equal resource.
Right.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I also like the idea of doing the tithing. Like, because for a while, when I wasn't tithing to the church, I put it in a fund, and then I would give to just random people. I'd be like, oh, you need money? Like, here, I have money. Like, just set aside for that, you know? I like doing that too. I think we should do that anyway. But it would be nice if we had organizations that did that and stewarded the money for us, where like, kind of like how I was describing, because it just takes pressure off the person. But I think we can do both.
For sure.
I think we can do both.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
I just rambled for a bit.
Great.
Touched on a little passion point for me.
Good stuff, man. I like it.
Oh, cool, dude. Yeah. So movement. So what else has been going on with you? I mean, you mentioned in a text, and again, if you don't want to like get into things, we can come up with something else to talk about. You mentioned like Dark Night of the Soul and a couple other things that you've been dealing with. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And I won't leave you hanging, dude. I got plenty of stuff too that I can.
Yeah. And I can touch on that a little bit. Again, I probably won't go too deep into that, but yeah, how do I want to phrase this? Let's just say my Dark Night of the Soul has consisted of losing a very close friendship a few months ago, to the point where like I have to treat this person as if they're dead, because you know they just cut it right off.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which has been very difficult, because we were very close, and everyone could see how close we were. And like the few people who I've talked to about it are like, man, something else must have been going on. So
for sure.
And you know, I don't necessarily, I'm not like, I wouldn't say there's blame, but I'm not necessarily blameless. Like I said some things that they found pretty shocking. So I will definitely own that. But yeah, so it's just been sort of like navigating that since November. And then at the end of March, I unexpectedly lost my job, which honestly it was a blessing in disguise. But you know, I still am like
still tough.
It's still tough, and I'm still kind of grappling with you know, just those feelings of worthiness and like, you know, sure, like I didn't do everything perfectly at that job, but I also got stuff done and made things look great. the job that I had was building sets for professional theater down
Yeah.
here in Florida. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but now I sort of feel like I mean, I'm still looking for work, but I'm also kind of in this period where like I have seen God provide month after month to the point
Amen.
where it's just like, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to do some education, some courses. We'll, learn about natural law, learn about um, health and freedom, invest in my health.
Yeah.
Um, and in the meantime, like I still get to do shows. I act for free at this point, but I that's to your point of like tithing your time, like I do it because I love it. And so
Yeah.
while the theater is not the church, it is sort of a form of church.
Yeah.
And so I've been pretty heavily giving my time to them
Mm.
since I moved here back in 2022. So, yeah, but I think the bulk of my dark night has been, just grappling with the loss of that really close friendship, um,
Yeah.
while also still like, blessing that person. And it's interesting. It's made me tap into sort of the more metaphysical side of friendship, because it's what's interesting. And I don't really know what your grid is for this sort of thing, but what's interesting is like we are still connected on like a soul level, and like I hear from him on the soul level quite often,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which leads me to think like maybe on a conscious level you felt like you needed to cut things off, and maybe there could have been other influences there too, like but on a deeper metaphysical soul level, like I know he still considers me like a very close friend,
Yeah.
and will still tell me things soul to soul, which, that in and of itself too is also kind of like a little bit of a mind F, because
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
is this really coming from this person, or like, am I making this
Yeah.
up? And,
One, I think stuff like that is not necessarily conscious because our spirits supersede our our ethereal bodies and our
Mhm.
minds. So I think you can subconsciously, like, even if like you physically think of somebody, like you just the thought, like the act of doing that, just them popping in your brain is sending signals out, like whether
Right.
you intend it or not. I mean, that's kind of what soul connections do. Like, it's not
Mhm.
because the souls, they're outside of time and space, and they're outside of our wills. Like
Exactly.
they just are. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, that's really intense. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been, it's been rough.
yeah, I
I've
feel it,
had
bro.
to do a lot of soul searching within myself in the midst of that, and I'm still very much in the process.
Right.
I mean, the ache of missing my friend has lessened, a little bit.
Yeah.
I still miss him every day, but like
Right.
the ache of it and the extreme pain of it has definitely died down, and has enabled me to, if not actively do the soul searching that I need to do, it at least puts me in the mind
Mm.
frame of like, I need to do this when I know that it's coming.
Yeah. It's like
Because
preparation, and
yeah.
it removes your like your crutch in a sense, or like your
Hmm.
reliance. You don't have someone else to rely on now, in a
Right.
sense, or like whatever you were using in that relationship to like balance yourself is no longer accessible, or you've cut it
Hmm.
off, at least for your own health, I would imagine, or whatever it was.
Right.
And so now you're like, okay, there's nobody else here. Like it's just me to deal with myself. It's
Hmm.
like now I have to actually do it. I have to face it.
Yeah. And I think that, thinking about it more objectively, thinking about the relationship more objectively, I definitely was putting, I think, a lot more of myself into it than what I was necessarily getting back.
Sure.
But by the same token, like we can only put in what we have to give in that moment. And so I
Mhm.
definitely don't like fault my friend for that at all.
Sure, sure.
I mean, we definitely did have to have some conversations about, hey, this feels kind of imbalanced, but
Yeah.
if you're not ready or able to adjust, then you just, you kind of have to take things as they come, while still also like loving the person in their process.
Right. But I mean, you got to love yourself first, ultimately.
Right.
And that
Yeah, that's what
sounds
I'm learning too.
counter Christian,
But
but
it's
it's
not.
not. It's really not.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you got to love
Like,
God first,
right.
primarily.
You also have
And
to love your neighbor as you first love yourself.
exactly. You guys, so how do you
Right.
love your neighbor if you don't even love yourself? You're not
Right.
really loving them. You're just like taking from them at that point
Right.
because you
Right.
want reciprocal. Like, it's like I've said this before to multiple people, like a gift is not a gift if you expect something back.
Exactly.
Right. So like if you have a friend that you're like entrusting with your energy and you're like, I have to have it back, otherwise I feel like we're not friends. It's not it's not as genuine as it could be, you know.
Hmm.
And obviously, like, you know, you want a reciprocal friendship. Like that's
Right.
what friends do. Like, you know,
Right.
that's it is reciprocal, but at the same time, it like that is kind of a litmus test for yourself of like,
Right.
what am I giving? Why am I giving it? And like, do I expect something back, or like, is this, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I've had
Yeah.
to do
And
that as well with multiple
yeah.
friends, and
Yeah.
I need to have a conversation currently with a current person in my life that I've just set boundaries and I've had certain conversations with, and I don't feel like the energy is beneficial for this time
Hmm.
in my life. And so I have to like cut it off because I've tried to like do the balancing act of like, oh, we'll just give this amount. And it's like, it doesn't feel fair to the other person. It's like almost like with an ex. Like if you break up with someone, it's like, should I like try to maintain this friendship or something? Or like, but then
Right.
there's
It's
always
rough.
some kind of feeling going on. And it's like you're just dragging it out. Like just cut it off, bro. Just cut off and move on.
Hmm.
And like maybe in the future you can kindle some kind of friendship with this person when the feelings are not as dramatic. And like you're saying, like there's a soul connection. So that to me that like it warrants like kind of a faith that either whether or not it happens in this lifetime, I mean, it can happen in the next, but you know, maybe 10 years down the road after you're both done dealing with whatever it is that caused conflict, like you can come back together and be like, oh my gosh, like, dude, yeah, this happened. And like, I was going through this and I had to realize that. And like, you know, so
Hmm.
I feel faith that you guys could uh, be redeemed in that process as well, even just based on that little bit of information. But
Yeah. And I feel that same faith too, to be honest. Even in the midst of just like getting nothing back at all.
yeah,
I think that's the hardest part. But yeah, I think it's allowing myself to go fully through a grieving process, and not trying to like spiritually bypass anything or bypass anything in general. Just like, you know, I the, the things I've been learning about like emotional health and physical health, like, and our spiritual health, even like energetic health, it's all tied together. So
yeah,
if you are constantly in the habit of like stuffing your emotions, and not feeling through them, it's probably eventually going to show itself as some like physical malady, or
100%.
yeah, something with your energy, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, it's just so interesting how we live in a very materialistic culture, and so like to a materialistic culture, like this is all that there is, like this
Yeah,
crude like physical matter.
right.
um but we're so much more. Like, it's crazy to think that our emotions form like a whole other body within our body. And yeah,
Yeah, there's a
so
lot.
there's
And
so much.
I don't know how much science you've been getting into, and I won't get too deep into it because I'm a nerd about that stuff. But
Yeah.
they know for, I mean, they have science backing this up. like what we're talking about. Like your emotions literally create chemical reactions within your body, which create physical responses within your cells, which like alter your DNA. Like you literally, like your state of mind can literally alter your DNA, like on a base level.
Yeah.
So it's not just, it's so much more. It's so much more, like you're saying. Like, it's so much more than just like. I mean, the word talks about all the time, like as you think, so you are. Like whatever's in your heart is like who you really are, and that's going to come out no matter what you try to do. And like the heart is the emotion center, right? Like, and actually, so this will be the last little thing, but my favorite little discovery of like the last 5 or 6 years, I guess. I learned this in Cali before I left. There's a group called Heart Math.
I've heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, they did a whole study on the heart, and the heart sends more like neurological, like electrical signals to the brain and the rest of the body than the brain sends to the body. Like you have like it's like ridiculous. Like we're all like, oh, the brain is the control center, which is such a lie. It's so like, it is so like purposeful in a sense. Like I feel like men are led to like think that way. It's like the Greco-Roman, stylistic of, we won't get into the conspiracy and all that, but it's like it's so like of course we would think that like the mind is like, the intellect is like the ruling center, but God's like, no, it's your heart. Yeah. And like the heart is the vortex that fixes your blood and like all this stuff, bro. It's so
if you want to get into some other like crazy sciencey type stuff, like that is off the beaten path, but creating its own beaten path, like talk about the human biofield and how it's possible that your thoughts are actually stored like in your field that your body emanates, because we're electromagnetic beings. So like,
right.
an
aura,
electromagnetic force, like, you have
literally
this field that your body is creating. And like when you get closer to it, and it goes like 6 feet on either side of you and all around you, it's like this really cool toroidal like field that they've measured. And some people speculate that, your thoughts are actually stored like out in your field versus in your head. And so, even thinking about like the ways that when someone asks you a question and you were trying to think of the answer, like you look a certain way, like what if you're looking into your field to try and access that information? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you like stare off into the distance, right? And you're like looking around. Yeah, because I look around when I'm like trying to grab thoughts.
Yeah, I'm sure like we've been doing it on this podcast the whole time.
Yeah, that's cool. I never heard that before. I like that,
dude. Yeah, no, and there's this really cool thing called biofield tuning, which I tried out a couple months ago. Actually, this is maybe a month, but this is crazy. This is maybe a month before I lost my job.
Oh, geez.
And I'm in this biofield tuning session, which is like you're laying basically on like a massage table, and this practitioner is going around with these different like tuning forks and like using sound resonance to like adjust and, pull your field back into coherence, basically.
Wow.
And the lady that I saw, she spent a lot of time tuning my knees, which was really interesting because knees apparently represent kind of what next steps and stuff. And just through tuning my knees, she's able to deduce, and like asking really good questions, she's able to deduce how unhappy I was in my job.
Oof.
And how I was already thinking about like, dude, I'm not going to renew this contract next season. I need to move on.
Yeah.
And like, it was in that session that she sort of helped me think like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, this is real. I need to be making some next steps. And, lo and behold, some next steps happened to me.
Right. The universe is like, all right, you're ready. Cut it off.
Yes. Yes.
God bless. God bless.
So dude, biofield tuning is really cool.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because when we were texting about it, and I was like, I feel like it's just an opportunity for you to like move on and like do something better, because I've had that where like you get jobs and you're like, damn, like it's really sucks getting fired or like let go or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's
like first time ever getting fired.
Well, congrats. Congrats. Welcome to the party.
But okay, this is actually also really funny too, because I had also just gotten done performing in Death of a Salesman, where I played Willie Lowen's boss who fires him.
Whoa.
And yeah, and our volunteer manager asked me a couple times, like when I'm like coming in, getting ready, like to come get ready for the show or whatever. She's like, Matt, like, what's been like your worst getting fired experience? And I was like, I've actually never been fired before.
Oh my gosh.
And then I too was Howard Wagnered, meaning I got
Yeah.
fired.
Howard Wagner, the verbiage.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I feel like it's
So
momentous, honestly. I feel like congratulations are in order. Like,
thank you.
well, there's something like no, legitimately, like there's this quote that talks about like if you're friends with everybody, you're not friends with yourself. Like
Yeah.
if you're not pissing somebody off, you're not being 100% yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not saying that's necessarily like immediately applicable, but there's something about that where it's like, how do I say it? I don't know. I feel like that's for you though. I feel like it's like, no, like just because you got fired doesn't has nothing to do with your value.
Right.
And like just because people don't recognize what you provide, and actually it's more of an indicator of their inability than your value.
Right.
Like because like I had a job up in Cali doing construction and stuff, and I'm not the best with being on time. I'll admittedly, like I'm not a 9 to 5er. I'm just not. I can be on time, like for appointments and stuff, but like if it's like every single day, like on the tee, like I
Mm-hmm.
struggle. I struggle so hard because I have time blindness with ADHD. Like I just it's not a strength of mine. I work hard on it, but and that's basically why they fired me because I had like not a really not tremendously terrible, but like really not the stellar track record with that stuff. And then there was a couple times where I was sick or like just way too depressed to get into work, if I'm being honest. And I called in, and they were the contractor guy, and it's like a family business, all this stuff, whatever. It's the details are irrelevant, but like I'm like, dude, I work so freaking hard for you guys, and like I'm a stellar employee. Like because when I'm there, when I'm working, like I'm there. Like
Yeah.
you've seen me perform and like do
I
stuff. Like I'm
have.
locked in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like it's so sad to like have people not understand that and like not be able to come to terms with like your little imperfections just because it's like it sucks, but it's their loss at the end of the day, in my opinion. In
Totally.
my opinion, but
Definitely. Well, and what's interesting too about the whole, and I like looked for other theater jobs and considered applying and haven't applied, and it's interesting. I was listening to this other podcast recently where the podcasters basically were saying that sometimes when you're transitioning to a new season, you won't be able to feed off of the old season anymore, and that really stuck out to me just
yep.
based on all of like the various rejections that
Mm,
I've gotten from jobs that I've applied to, and
yeah.
including theater jobs where it's just like, I think I'm supposed to move on from that for a little
Right.
bit. Like
Right.
maybe I'll do that again in the future.
Yeah.
But for now, I think that like, um, yeah, God just wants me to move forward and learn some new things, gain some new skills, learn about some of the deeper things of life that are not
Mm-hmm.
as readily seen or known
Mm-hmm.
about, but that are very true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of what I'm delving into now is just like a lot more like natural law common to I. Um,
Yeah, what does that mean? Like you said natural law a couple times. What can you define that a little further?
so it's natural law is very simple. Basically, like it boils down to, and it's kind of what Jesus said in the golden rule, like do no harm.
Mm.
Like don't harm your neighbor or their property. If you can live by those rules, you're
You're
abiding by
covered.
natural law. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
And that's really like kind of like what the law at its essence, all forms of law, what they ultimately boil down to. But like
Yeah.
in terms of like superiority of the law, it's like me as the living man has more power than any corporate body, any statutory body,
Hmm.
any like de facto body, because like the way that God made us, the law comes from us. it's not the other way around. It's not supposed to be anyways. And in the world right now is basically like a bastardized version of top down law versus bottom up law, and it's supposed to be bottom up. Like
Right.
we're all supposed to own our power and use it to, you know, make a better place to
Right.
live and to thrive and to, you know, raise families with, basically,
Right.
versus, you know, someone coming down and basically crushing you with,
Yeah.
you know, whatever it may be.
Authoritarian. Yeah. Well, because it used to be, like Wild West era. Even prior to that, it used to be like, personal responsibility was huge. Like
Mm-hmm.
we didn't need specific laws because it's like, well, you jumped off the cliff. I don't need to put a sign there that says "Don't jump off the cliff, you idiot." Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? It's like people
Right.
just like, if you did that, like you didn't sue people. It's like, no, I made that choice, and like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't supposed to do that, and I did it. Like, and it's like now we're like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that, and I did it, but I can sue this person for money. So now we have all these stupid laws.
Right.
But
Well,
even
and
like,
if someone has done you harm, though, there is remedy for that.
yes, yes, and
It's
we
just
don't
about
want
it's
it's
about
it's
knowing how to go about that process.
Yeah, and it is important to have structure in place to where we're not self-avenging. Um,
Right.
so that's the benefit of an organized law system. But I mean, even like with kids, like the neighborhood raised the kids. Like if you were
Mm-hmm.
over at a neighbor's house, like your neighbor could spank you. Like,
Right.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but uh,
I think it depends on how much relational equity your family had with that other family.
yeah, I like that word equity in that application. That's good. Yeah, but I feel like it's just the prevailing mentality is more what I'm getting at. The specifics obviously can be more nuanced, but the prevailing mentality was like that the community is responsible for each other,
Mm-hmm.
and like cops didn't just like it was like the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. Like
Right.
if you were drunk at the park, they're not going to just bag you up and tag you. They're like, bro, sober up, let's get you home. They're there to
Mm-hmm.
take care of the community, not punish the community. Um, so that's fascinating. So natural. So how does that? What's God been taught like in your own life? Like how are you applying that? I guess or
Well, what's crazy is when I first started getting into it, like when I first made my very first kind of like big action in that direction, I was sitting in church coincidentally that day and feeling kind of like uncertain about what I'd just done. And the Lord basically said to me, how did he phrase it? He essentially said something to the effect of, what if what you've just stepped into actually is more free and more mirrors the kingdom of heaven than what you've been experiencing on this earth so far? That's not exactly the way he said it, but it's the spirit of it.
yeah,
Um,
love that.
and so that kind of kept me on that path of, okay, there are ways to interact with the public while still remaining completely private
Mm-hmm.
as far as like the law goes. Like, yes, I'm also a very private person, but like you like men and women are supposed to live in the private and then you act in the public, if that
Interesting.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And well, that actually is fascinating that you're saying that.
And I
So
think that
this,
actually is a maxim of equity law in and of itself, which is sort of like where trust
yeah,
law and all that like deeper law comes from, chancery law, stuff like that.
trust law change. This is cool. I like this little subtopic. I feel like I want to dive into this more. Like in my own personal study and stuff. Do you have
Yeah.
like books that you're reading about this stuff or things like
Um,
sources that you're
yeah, I
getting
can I can
information
send you
from?
some stuff.
That'd be clutch.
Um, yeah,
Sounds fascinating.
like the law common to I stuff actually is a course that I paid for that I've been taking pretty slowly, but I can send you the link to that too if like
Sure.
you decide you want to spend some money as well. But
Yeah, yeah. Even just having the terminology to do research on, like, to point me in the direction would be helpful.
yeah, for sure.
Thanks. So that idea of private versus public has been kind of forefront for me, especially now. This podcast is a pretty eloquent example. I've spent a lot of time, well, irregardless, I feel like I'm being called to open up and like allow, like, even I read this morning, like you don't put a lamp under a bowl, like you put it
Mm-hmm.
on top of a pole, like on the top of the hill, so that everybody can see it, so it gives light to everybody around you. And I kind of stopped being public at all with anything. Like I even stopped doing the
Yeah.
fitness stuff, and I needed to refocus and like grow and be secure myself for a time. And I was moving, and a bunch of stuff happened. But I feel like now I got the green light, or like I'm being pushed to do stuff like this and like have open, vulnerable conversation around my processing and my previous experiences, things I've already processed and like gone through, not being too specific with current things. Kind of like how we talked today, where like you didn't give like nitty gritties
Right.
because it's still kind of current. And finding that balance, I feel like I'm walking through it intrinsically. Like I have like an intuition about it, but I don't necessarily have the verbiage. Like I couldn't explain what all of that means or like how to do it. Even trying to describe this podcast and like what I want to do with my YouTube channel and stuff. Um, like I want to develop a community that does this, like that we talk about real life issues and like what's going on in our lives and like the deep processes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the deep like subcurrents of things. Um, I'm curious if you have any, I don't know, like how would you like if you're in my shoes, how would you walk out doing something like that in a way that's still, like you said, obeying like the law of equity and like not just giving away too much? Like, do you have like maybe a verbiage for that or thoughts?
Mm. Excuse me while I look into my field here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's important that you continue to do it in such a way where it feels like it's coming from an authentic place in your heart.
Right.
Which, I mean, you're a very heart-led guy as it is. So I don't think that will be necessarily very challenging for you. I think the challenge will be in listening to your gut and knowing, okay, maybe we're not quite ready for that yet.
Right.
Or if you are going to like broach some specific topics, like knowing how to present it in such a way that invites people into curiosity versus like they instantly want to slam the door and be like, no,
Yeah.
no thanks.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to moderate things in quantity and quality as much as possible. But I think what I'm leading towards mostly is allowing a level of vulnerability, because like growing up for myself, there was very limited vulnerability with like the older generations. Like it's not until you're like 25 or like 30 and then they start like telling you all these stories about their life and you're like,
Yeah.
I had no idea like that, you know. And it's like I understand like there's kind of a mentality of like that can be bad for development. I've heard that for kids, you know. But at the same time, like I need to know that people need to, and younger generations need to know that we're not perfect, and like, and not in a like obeisance way or like judgmental or like we're better than them kind of thing, or you know what I mean? Because like sometimes the younger generations can be like, oh, like old people, you know, like, oh, you know, that mentality. But it's more like, I mean, I would hope that younger people could look up to me and be like, oh wow, that's awesome, like what he's doing. I mean, that's what I endeavor to do. Like I'd like to be in a place where I can inspire people, but I don't want it to be the point where they're inspired or they're like in comparison like downplaying themselves because like, oh, I'm not there yet, or oh, I'm struggling with this and that. It's like I feel like there's such a release corporately, for lack of better words, like socially, to have people just being like real and just talking about this is just, we're all just humans. You know what I mean? We're all
Yeah.
just humans, and like there's nothing to be ashamed of,
Yep.
and we shouldn't be afraid of like what people are thinking about us because they're all thinking the same thing. Like we're all dealing with the same crap, like in one area or another. Like and it's like
Right. And
who are
like,
we to judge? And if they
yeah.
judge, like screw them. Like who cares?
And honestly, I think people are thinking about us a lot less than we think because most people are just thinking about themselves and what they're
Yeah.
going through.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, and to your point, vulnerability I think begets more vulnerability, whether in the moment or in the future. Um, like going back to my friend, like I was very vulnerable with my friend, and he was not ready for that level of vulnerability, and
Mm-hmm.
so or someone in his I don't know I don't want to be too speculative. Someone in his life may
Yeah.
not have been ready for that level of vulnerability.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it doesn't just because like people don't necessarily respond in the way that we want them to respond doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue to be vulnerable and invite
Right.
people into the deeper parts of our lives.
Yeah. And I think
And
there's like a measure of assumption based on the quality of relationships that we currently possess.
mhm,
So it's something that God's been saying to me is like you are assuming that people are going to respond this way because the people that are currently in your life are responding this way. But
right.
if you get out there and like actually start to be authentically who you are, you're going to find people that reciprocate that energy. And like it's going to be
Mhm,
better. Like you just got to let go of the expectation or the current relationships really and just like, yeah, if they leave, they leave. If they get upset about this topic that we're just talking about, like
right.
I'm not like claiming to be the truth, but like if I say something and like that offends you, like, well, then you're not for me. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
And we have
let's,
to recognize too that like people are approaching information through their very specific lenses, through conditioning,
oh yeah,
through
yep,
life experience or lack thereof. Like it's
yeah,
there's so many things that people are looking at new information through,
totally,
which can create fear. But I think also to your point about what you're trying to do in your life, I think I think we're seeing a new surge of people being hungry for vulnerability and people being
mm,
hungry for more like long form style content, um, because like people don't want the edited version all the time.
right,
Sometimes they want to hear people say things off the cuff and process in the moment,
the
and
uncouth,
sometimes things are going to be a little uncouth. Yeah,
yeah,
nobody's perfect and nobody's meant to be perfect,
right, right.
at least
I
not in
like
this
it.
lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. And even, I mean, that goes full circle back to like the movement thing you're talking about. Like it was because it was messy and raw, and that was the beautiful part about it, and that's what allowed it to be like it's like in performance. Like if you're too afraid to make a mistake in performance, you will not perform to the top of your ability.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
anytime I'm really nervous like to perform or like to play in front of a crowd, like I get stuck up and like I'm like really you need to be loose, like you need to be free. And in that freedom there's like all this level of expression and revelation. Like I get downloads and I'm able to just like throw it onto the guitar neck and like play that lead line that I was hearing in the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm not in that modality, if I'm like afraid to make a mistake, it's all stifled. Like
Right.
it's like crap. Like it's all like sound like a completely different player, or
Yeah.
singer or whatever your modality is.
Well, that's why I love doing live theater so much, because no two shows are ever the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
the audience who sees the specific show tonight, there will never be another show like that. Like even
That's
if we're
cool.
doing the same show, even if we have a high level of like excellence and technical excellence, sometimes things are going to go wrong.
Yep. Yep. Forget a line or
Like
say it
like on
differently or
at our Sunday show. So the show we're doing is Sweeney Todd, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically it's in a nutshell, a a barber is wrongfully accused of doing some things, mostly because the judge who accused him wanted his wife. And so he goes off to prison for 15 years and comes back very vengeful and ends up killing a lot of people just to get to the judge and get his revenge. So, and he does it by, he kills people in the barber chair and then puts them down a chute, basically. And
nice.
It's nice. It's a comedy.
What a great show.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It actually is. It is a decent show.
Cool.
I have not always loved it, but I have grown to love it. But anyways,
the premise is difficult, but I'm sure the execution is far from that. Yeah.
To the point about live theater and things going wrong sometimes, and no two shows are alike. So one of the characters that I play goes up to Sweeney's barbershop to get a shave. His wife and child are with him. And so that's the reason why he lives, because Sweeney's like, well, I'm not going to kill you in front of your wife and baby.
Right.
And also I think it's, he's remembering his past life of his wife and child. But anyways, I go to sit down on the barber chair. He's already like in the sequence of the song that it's happening in, Sweeney's already like killed 2 other people and put them down the chute. I go to sit down on the barber chair. It's not locked. And it just like goes from, and so we just played it off like, oh, sir, there's something wrong with your chair. Like, this for me. And the audience loved it. Like, they were like, oh, that's actually really funny that happened.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, it's just perfectly imperfect and the beauty of, like, ephemeral artistic products.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And I even, like, almost feel a release in my spirit about that, because that's just so point on to my process recently, like creating and even with music and stuff. The one of the biggest things that helped me with my creativity was hearing that mistakes are not mistakes if you can roll with it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's an opportunity for a creative expression. So like, I'll play a wrong note and be like, oh, okay, I guess we're going somewhere else. Or like, as long as it's in tune or in key or whatever.
Yeah. And I think some of the greatest artistic expressions have become great because there's mistakes involved.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some, I wonder if there's any like really big works that have that.
I feel like there are. And I can't think of them offhand right now, but I'm positive
there has to be. Yeah.
I feel like only the artists
would know,
Yeah, maybe.
Even like things like in the recording process where it's like, oh, we like had 2 mics on at the same time and it created this doubling effect or something, or like, just something random where like, or like there's like, the old school like Galileo and or like he dropped an apple fell on Newton's head, right? Like things like that of that nature, obviously. But it'd be really fun to like start a forum and like, what mistakes have you made as an artist that have turned into your like masterpieces or whatever?
Right.
Like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. Maybe I'll start that. Note to self. Mistake forum.
Make lots of mistakes.
Yeah. No, it's something that I was inspired to even like propagate for my future family. Like, so I read or I saw this video, whatever, on social media, whatever format it was, somebody was talking about that with their kids, they do, how do you call it? They would be like, they would purposely ask, how did you fail today? And like, and not in like it, like you're celebrated for having a failure because that meant you learned something. And like they focused on it. It's like, what did you fail at today? And like, they were like excited, like, oh, I messed up on this, and like it made me learn that. And it's like, well, that's so cool, because it completely changes the lens that we view failure. And like I said, like that failure, the fear of failure can stifle any kind of creation, any kind of endeavor. Like you get stuck at like square one if you can't even start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people get caught in the trap of. We talk about pursuing excellence, but to a lot of people that means pursuing perfection. But perfection is pretty much impossible to achieve in this life.
Yeah.
And so if you're pursuing perfection all the time in the name of pursuing excellence, which I think excellence can mean a lot of different things, but if you're pursuing perfection, like you're just going to be constantly frustrated. Because you're never going to get there. You're never going to think you're good enough.
Yep.
You're never going to listen to those outside voices that are still telling you, hey, no, this is actually really cool what you're doing, really amazing.
Yeah.
But no, to you, it's not good enough. So you just
Right.
throw
Keep
that
it.
away.
Yep. Throw it away. Keep it in the back pocket. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't
But
share it.
one of my college professors gave a really great example of this in a talk that he gave. He was talking about how he his daughter, when she was maybe like 5 or 4 or something like that, came up to him and wanted to start decorating for Christmas. Like she wanted to go out and put some lights up outside around the door. So like, he's going along doing it. He's got the strand or whatever. He gets to the door and he goes along the floor up the first side and gets about down to, and he's like, see, this is why I don't do this sort of thing. We only had enough to get down to this part of the doorway, and it's just like, no,
Right.
Dad, it's great. It's perfectly imperfect.
Oh.
And that's always stuck with me. I always think of like those Christmas lights just getting
Just
halfway down the other side of the door and just thinking
the candy cane.
perfectly imperfect. Because he's like, when people came, he was like, yeah. And he was like, when people came over during that season of Christmas and saw those lights on those doors, they were just completely charmed by it. Just like, that is the coolest, most creative thing I've ever seen. Like,
Wow.
that's so awesome. And, that's, going back to the point of 5-year-olds and younger being geniuses. Like,
Yeah. They just stop there. Like, yep, it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
And you're like,
it's done. It's perfect.
no, it's not. You're like, yeah, it is. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, that's incredible. Like, that's all I had.
Exactly.
That's the end of it. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, there's so many lessons in that. I feel like I just I want to have that story repeated in my head now, like for like 6 months, so I can incubate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it's good, dude. That's really good. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
This was good. I think we got a solid. We're almost at 111 here. Maybe that'll be my stopping point. 111. I got to think with the ones in sequence.
Yeah.
This was great. I really appreciate you sharing some of your processes and some of your backgrounds, and your input's incredible. You have a golden mind, and you're extremely eloquent. So it's always a pleasure to talk with you, especially in the deeper things.
Thanks, man. That's been an honor to be on here.
Yeah, bro. Well, thanks for joining. We'll do this
of
again
course.
soon.
I hope we do.
Yeah. God bless you, man.